Welcome to Bringing Jesus Back into Focus, 13. This is a quick, short dialogue on Jesus' teachings that we have two bodies with us right now. One is a body of flesh and blood and bones made of the earth and returns to the earth. It does not resurrect. The other one is a spiritual body, which does resurrect from the earth body. It does leave the body. Earth returns to earth and spirit returns to spirit. The spirit's being created, spiritual body, by a spiritual being. Jesus himself said the divine presence of our spiritual creation is a spiritual being of divine love. The divine loving creator of Jesus can't hurt anyone, can't create hell, can't throw you into hell. You can go there if you want to, but the divine presence in your own life, in your spiritual body, which is only filled with divine love, it's singular. So our spiritual body is singular and filled with light or love. It's the human body, the physical body, that's dualistic, pleasure, pain, etc., love, hate. This is the dualistic mind of the earth body. That's the thing we have to tame, you might say, or at least put our spiritual body first as our primary body and identity, and then we express divine love simply through our physical body. We don't worship money or greed and self-indulgence and all those things. And we certainly don't go to war and kill other children's bodies. As they're doing right now in 2024-25. Lots of beasts of the flesh, satanic children on all sides. They're all satanic. Once they lift up the gun and kill other children of God, they're children of Satan. They're beasts of the flesh. They're living out of a false dualistic identity of the flesh and blood and bones, and all flesh dies, rots and stinks. So everyone involved in those wars at the moment, they're just worshipping death, and of course you reap what you sow. Those who worship life, they worship the Spirit. And we'll see how Jesus says this right now in his teachings. So don't take my word, take Jesus. Follow his. Jesus taught we all have two different bodies with us right now. This is the traditional translation you'll find in all Bibles, generally. For whoever might desire to save his life will lose it, but whoever might lose his life on account of me will find it. Now in the Gospel of Jesus Unplugged translation, which is a book you can buy, Jesus said, "He who lives only an earthly life of the flesh will lose it. But he who loosens himself from his earthly life of flesh by following my way and teachings will find his spiritual life." So that's what Jesus is simply saying there. Don't worry about the body. Don't be attached to it too much. Look after it, care for it. But it returns to the earth. There is no life left in a dead body. I've seen my fair share of dead bodies, family, etc. have died, and there's no life in them. The life has left them because their spiritual body has left them. Let's move on. Jesus said there will be two in one bed. One will be taken, the other will be left. This is very specific in the Greek New Testament translations that they have from the good old days. Jesus is saying there'll be two in one, in a single bed. Now, a single bed, normally only one person can occupy a single bed. But Jesus is saying here there are two in a single bed. So he's trying to help you understand that when you lay down in a single bed, you've got two bodies in the one position. One will be taken and one will be left. Now, he's talking about the time of death, where there's the separation of the physical from the spiritual. One is left behind on the earth, because that's what it's made of, and it returns to the earth, but one leaves. Now in the Gospel of Jesus Unplugged, the translation reads, "There will be two bodies on one single bed. One is spiritual, one is flesh. The one of spirit will be taken to be with me. The other of flesh will be redundant and dismissed." Of course, to be where he is, you've got to be heavenly, so you've got to have a singular mind of love. Otherwise, that optimistic, if you follow him, you'll be where he is for sure, because that's what he said, follow me, and you'll be where I am. And then next we go into his next saying, "Two women will be grinding grain at the mill. One will be taken and one will be left behind." Once again, it's two women grinding at the mill. Now, the millstones that most women had in the old days, and 2,000 years ago, in their own home, they'd have a stone with a groove in it, and they'd have another stone to grind the wheat or the corn or whatever it was. Now, those stones were very personal. One woman sat at that stone. Only one woman could grind on that millstone, the home model. There might be certainly a windmill somewhere or driven by a donkey where there's a big stone that you can go and grind lots of wheat there. That might be someone who makes bread, for example, as a living. But women had their own little grinding stone at home. Now, he says here 2 women will be grinding at that one stone, at the mill. It's taken to be at the mill, at the grinding stone, at the millstone. So the Gospel of Jesus Unplugged clarifies this. There will be 2 women grinding on the one millstone. One is spiritual, one is flesh. The one of spirit will be taken to be with me. The one of flesh will be redundant and dismissed. You don't need a dead body of flesh anymore. Once it's dead, it's dead. There's no life in it. It rots and it decays. All the water leaves it, all the bones, everything, all the minerals, all return to the elements from which they were made, which is a material, physical world. This isn't the spiritual world. This is the material, physical world of pain, suffering, love, joy, tears, and laughter. It's a dualistic world. We need to get into the world of love, and we can only get there in our spiritual body because it's singular and only operates out of the divine love of the Creator. Then another little saying he throws in, then 2 will be in the field, 1 is taken and 1 is left. Again, he gives the same thing, 2 are in the field. So you're there in the veggie patch working, you think it's just you, but in fact you've got 2 bodies. The Gospel of Jesus Unplugged translation, there will be 2 in the field standing as one. One is spiritual, one is flesh. The one of spirit will be taken to be with me. The other will be redundant and dismissed. There's no need for your physical body, and hopefully we are taken to where he is if we can just be good enough. Now, traditional translation follows on, and the disciples asked him, "Where, Lord?" He said to them, "Where the corpse is, there the vultures will gather." Now, the word vulture, it's basically a sort of carrion bird, bird of prey, carrion bird is the Greek translation. Some say it's an eagle, some say it's a vulture. Birds that sort of tend to eat flesh one way or another. Eagles eat living flesh though, they don't eat dead carrion as a rule. Vultures certainly only eat dead bodies. So what's interesting about this is there's a saying missing here. The disciples say, "Where, Lord?" Now he's saying 2 will be there, 1's taken, 1's left, 1's taken, 1's left, 1's taken, 1's left. But here we've only got the answer to one of the bodies. "Where, Lord?" And "Where, Lord?" that's pretty open as well. "Where, Lord?" He said to them, "Where the corpse is, the body of the flesh, dead body, there the vultures will gather." Well, that's very clear. Our dead bodies can be eaten by vultures and worms. It's irrelevant. We're not in them anymore. They're food for the vultures. But what's missing is, where's the other body gone? So in the Gospel of Jesus Unplugged, the translation reads, the disciples asked Jesus, "Where will they be, Lord?" Where will they both be? One goes, one stays. Well, where will they be? Jesus replied, "The body of flesh will be where the vultures gather." Correct. But the other one's missing. The body of the Spirit will be where the eagles fly. That's missing. Again, these things are deleted often because they don't want you thinking you've got a spiritual body and your flesh body, is not going to rise from the dead. A lot of Jewish Christian denominations. I'm not a Jewish Christian. I'm not a Judeo-Christian. I never have been. I'm just a Christian. I just study Jesus' words. I don't study the old Jewish religion, the Old Testament. There's love in there, but there's a war god as well. They never worshipped one god, the Jews, and they still don't. They worship what I call a 2-headed God. A God of war, a God of love, 2 heads on the one body called Yahweh. Jesus slices off the war god head right off the body. He says, no, you've got to come out of that to his Jewish tribe, his Jewish people. You've got to only understand there's a divine loving God. You've got it wrong. You're worshipping a war god as well as a God of love, and you're calling them by the same name. So Jesus tried to bring them out into the singularity of divine love so that they could be saved and become spiritual children and pacifists, because Jesus was a pacifist until 312 AD, when Emperor Constantine destroyed that message. And the churches, the Jewish Christian churches, because that's all you've got now is Judeo-Christian churches everywhere, only a couple of them are pacifists. The Amish, Quakers, the Assyrian Christians. There's a few who still understand we must be pacifists to be truly spiritual. Anyway, so there's the little sayings there. And you can back this up all through Jesus' words. Jesus said, flesh gives birth to flesh, spirit gives birth to spirit. No, not that I tell you, you must be born again from above. That's the Greek translation. See, heaven's above. Jesus said, I'm from above, you're from below. Flesh and blood and bones, earth. The word spirit in Greek means air, pneuma, breath, spirit. So it's heavens above. We've sort of got this concept of heavens above. Heaven says actually the connection to heaven's actually within you. Again, your spiritual body is within your physical body. It's the treasure hidden in the field of the flesh. The body is the flesh, the earth flesh field. Your spirit is the treasure. Get into it, find it, become at one with your spiritual divine love, become a pacifist Christian, cut the Bible into two, which is what I do, you see. See that? There's two different parts. The old Jewish book here, if you want to study the Jewish religion, go to a synagogue. Or study Buddhist teaching, at least he was a pacifist. But there's the New Testament, and rip the book of Revelations out, because that's a red herring. That shouldn't be there. That's poisonous. That's a Jewish book. That should be in the book of Daniel. That shouldn't be there. So that's all. It is the spirit that gives life, Jesus said. The flesh profits nothing. Again, you see, he's telling you, you've got another body. When the disciples were drowning on the boat, he said, why were you so frightened? You know, you've got another body, basically. You're not going to die. Your physical body will. He doesn't underscore that. I mean, he doesn't downplay that to say that physical death is unimportant. He never says that in a sense of pain and suffering. He doesn't. He acknowledges pain and suffering is a terrible thing. That's why he healed so many children of their physical sicknesses that their physical bodies had, causing them great suffering. He could heal that because he was at one with his spiritual identity that he had awoken to. And that's why he could heal, because he had no hatred in him. No, he wasn't going to kill anyone, and neither is the divine loving one that he was at one with, and that we should all be at one with. None of us will hurt anyone anymore. So we'll enter that beautiful world. So Jesus said, my words, they are spirit and they are life. He who hears my words, understands them, follows them, and becomes alive to their spirit will never see death. See, you've got two bodies. One's going to die for sure, and it could be very painful and very harmful to your own life, very difficult. But once it's finished, your spiritual body is set free. And if you've been living out of your spiritual life and your spiritual identity to love others and even forgive those who hurt you, which is it's a really profound aspect of love. When you forgive someone, that is love. Very difficult when someone's hurt you or left you to die on the side of the road, or maybe you've got a serious lung infection and the doctors refuse to give you the treatment and they laugh at you and they leave you to die, for example. These sorts of things happen. And we have to forgive them and pray for them that they find the true love that they're missing out on. As we pray for all these mass murderers now who are in the armies, who have become beasts of the flesh, or satanic children, and slaughtering each other with their guns and drones and bombs. They're all satanic, they're all false identities, they're all living a lie now. They worship death, whereas we must worship life. So we don't get involved, we don't support the armies or anything like that. Not if you're a Christian, I don't support any army. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Then the Greek translation, it just says rather be afraid of the. There isn't even anything after that, it's just the word the. And so one is sort of generally taken, be afraid of that thing. It could be the thing that can destroy both soul and body in hell. One is personalising it. A lot of Jewish Christian children believe that's actually God, but of course they worship the two-headed God of the Jews, along with the single God of Jesus. So they're really mixed up. You can't worship a two-headed God and a God that's only love. That's why the Jewish Christian religion's so messed up. Anyway, you should just worship the one singular God. The only thing really to be afraid of that can destroy your soul and body in hell, which is a place of burning realization, the only thing that can do that is if we do bad things, if we hurt other children, sin, etc. The common word. That's the only thing that can destroy your spiritual life, is if you sin, if you do evil things. If you do them, be frightened of those things for sure. Don't be enticed into going and joining an army and kill other children of God. Get out of the army, drop your guns and go home. Don't murder, don't rob, don't steal, don't do these bad things. That's the only thing that can cause you to suffer after you die. The body dies. And your spirit, all our spirits will reap what they sow. There's no doubt about that. So Jesus said, for God is spirit, so those who worship him or love him or her must worship in spirit and in truth. See, come to God in spirit and in truth, he's saying. First of all, be truthful about your own life. So always apologise for anything you've done that's wrong to the divine source of your spiritual life. You don't want to walk up to someone to shake up. Say, if you think of God as the most beautiful being you've ever thought could exist, perfect in every way and beautiful and decent and good, and you come up to shake the hand of that God and you've got dog manure smeared over your hand to shake the hand. I mean, you stink. And you're not going to hold out a hand covered in dog manure, are you? And some beautiful being's going to shake it. I mean, they can't. You've got to go away and wash that off. That's what hell is. That's where these things are removed. And it can be very painful there. More painful than any of these armies and Vladimir Putin and the Hamas and Israeli army, all the rest of them. They got no idea about hell or heaven at all. They don't know where they're going. But it's there. So anyway, so God is spirit. So Jesus even says that, to come in spirit. He doesn't say come in flesh and truth. He says come in spirit and truth. And when he appeared to the disciples, he appeared in his spiritual body quite clearly. We've got Mary Magdalene's the most dramatic one, where he does appear to Mary at the tomb. The body has been removed, probably by John and Peter. And he appears and she says, it's Jesus. She thought he was the gardener. Didn't recognise him because he had a spiritual body now. His flesh body had died. And he says to her, don't try to hug me, Mary. You can't. The words aren't there, but you can't, because I'm now in a fully spiritual body. My flesh body's, I haven't got it anymore. You're still in a body of flesh, Mary. You don't try to hug me. You can't. He says that. It's written as I haven't yet ascended to my Father in heaven. Well, that's gobbledygook. He's just saying, I've got a spiritual body, Mary. You can't hug me. You're in a physical body, and I've left it. I'm in just my spiritual body now. My other one's dead, as Mary's will be one day, and she'd be released too, and mine will be, and yours will be, and all of us will all leave our physical bodies behind. The resurrection is to leave the body, the physical body of flesh, behind. But you do come into the presence of the divine. And the divine one is perfect love and decent and all goodness. Am I ready to be in the present? And there's the battle. All internal enemies, all enemies we have are really internal. External enemies can hurt us, sure, physically, and even kill our body. But Jesus says, don't even worry about if they do that. You're going to live on. You've got another body. So we have to be showing the light of truth in the world, that there's a spiritual world. It's a world of love. We all have a spiritual body. We've got to move into it. So I'll leave it there. So that's the little general dialogue there today about the sayings of Jesus, where he clearly says you have two bodies right now. I pray, of course, for all of us that we have the strength to be spiritual. I know I need it. I'm sure everyone does who's a true Christian. I advise everyone, I certainly advise everyone, please cut your Bible in two. So you separate the old Jewish religion. There's the old Jewish religion, right? If you want to study, where are we? See how big that is? That's the Jewish religion. It's huge. There's a lot of evil in that. There's a lot of murdering and killing by their God, their war god, and love. Love is there too. Don't get me wrong. Love is there. But so is a war god. They worship two gods with one body. That's the Jewish religion. Jesus, on the other hand, he brings you into just the one God of love, the one Godhead of love. So he tried to help the Jewish children come out of it, and always remember to rip out the book of Revelations in the back. I've ripped it out of mine. It's not there. It ends with the book of Jude. Never ever read that book. Throw it in the fire. That's my opinion. I'm a Christian though. I'm a follower of Jesus, and I belong to the early church of the pacifist church that Jesus founded, which lasted for 312 years. I don't associate myself with being Jewish at all. Good God bless them. May the rabbis delete all the evil stuff from their teachings and do exactly what Jesus did, which is what he did. He got rid of all the evil in their teachings, the evil war god, and they need to do the same and become pacifists. So I pray for them, as I pray for myself. May the divine loving life force that empowers your spiritual body, your soul, mind of love, be with you until you enter the heavenly world. And if you are interested in looking up this book here, The Gospels of Jesus Unplugged, that's where you'll find translations which are a little bit more clearer, because I've only been a Christian my whole life, 67 years, 68. So I don't get confused by worshipping the Jewish God, the two-headed God. I have no confusion about that. There's two gods there. They've never worshipped one God. It's simple for me. I'm sorry all the Jewish Christians have been tangled up in that. But that gives a better, clearer understanding of Jesus' message, I think. Done my best to translate it from the Greek and various Bibles to bring out the best representation of what he was teaching. So it's there for anyone who's interested. You can buy it online pretty soon. It's been published. It's just the availability is still taking a week or two, I think, over Christmas. Anyway, may we all become filled with divine love and not hurt anyone anymore. Good to be a vegetarian too. Bye.